How did I lose?
All right. Hello, Oracles. What a wild day we are having in my life right now. And now we got earnings with Brian from My Tesla Weekend. Whew, Brian's been holding down his own show for the last half hour or so. How's it going, Brian?
Doing great. I'm just getting you dialed in terms of audio levels and all that good stuff. We've been having so much fun. Let's keep it a rolling.
Fantastic. You guys keep rolling. I'm gonna let me see. Brian, do you have the earnings up on your screen, or you want to pop it up on mine?
Are
I could
they
do
out?
it.
Did they come out?
Actually, if
They're not.
if we're doing a multicast, do we both have to do it? Does one can do it? I don't even know how that works.
I mean, we can just open it on our own ends. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Of course, at this point here, it's just the refresh game.
Yeah, it's just we're at 5 o'clock is what it is the time.
Yes.
On my screen, I've got an animation showing the live actual production rate of vehicles going across the screen. We're at 1,200 seconds, which means 85 vehicles have driven across the screen.
Well, I'm just doing the earnings itself.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean,
there we go.
I'm confident everyone will tell me when it's time.
Are you doing a separate one for the earnings call, or are you just gonna stay on?
Of course. Oh, I mean, what are you doing? I'm doing whatever you're doing.
So I'm gonna jump off and then come back on at 5:20. So that's what, 2:20 your time?
Yeah. I don't need to be on for days at a time.
No, I got to get some food in me. It's been work today was a little bonkers.
I was up at the crack of dawn for a Twitter space that was held in Eastern time, you see. And then, of course, I had a live stream already today. And then this is another live stream. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. And I know you do it a little more full time than I do, but being able to be on and chat with all of you guys all day long for different things, for different aspects of the company and stuff is something I strive for. That's actually what I was just on the phone call with prior to jumping on here, was discussing with I've got a marketing manager and a brand manager kind of helping me grow the channel to be able to do this more full time.
Wow. That's interesting. I've got several various levels of pains in my butt that don't necessarily help that much. It's you should try that. I recommend it not at all.
Well, I have a 55-hour-a-week pain in the butt right now, so.
That it's not much fun. There are some questions we were going over.
What you got?
Well, they were ones from Say. Did you see any good ones in there that you thought were interesting?
Yeah, the ones that I talked about it the other day, the ones I liked were the 4680 ramp, and obviously now that we heard about Giga Nevada, that's going to be a huge piece of that. And then wondering if they're going to end up breaking out the mega packs and power walls so we can see that, sort of like we see production and delivery numbers.
I see. And when do you think we'll start seeing different divisions broken out?
Probably
and
2024.
Which ones first? Yeah.
I would guess 2024.
Yeah. Did you see on the information yesterday from Giga Nevada that they have sold now 1 million Powerwall modules?
No, I did not see. I did see that. Yes, the Powerwalls, the batteries. They've made and sold enough batteries for each one of each human on the planet.
Well, that's cells, though.
Oh yeah. The cells itself. Yes. Well, I mean, that's still incredible.
Yes.
And not only that, but the fact that they've gone from the average of 36 gigawatt hours for what they have now, and they're pushing to do 100 gigawatt hours. They're tripling their capacity.
Yeah, and it's
out. Let's see what we got.
All right, and it's critical. Let's hear some highlights to all my party peeps. Mine did not work. I clicked on it. Yours is up. Look at that.
Of course, it's not loading because everybody else is trying to load it right now.
Yeah, I can't get it to load. I'm getting a gateway timeout. It's all right. I'll just hit F5 10 million times and we'll get there. Yeah. We're not in traffic, my friend. We are traffic.
Yeah. Let me try to load it 3 and 4 times on my screen. Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah, interesting.
So what are the what's the over under on the earnings call actually having a decent microphone that works well?
What in the hell, man? It's so crazy. I've found ways to boost it on my end. And I often have the only or one of the only feeds that can actually be heard because apparently nobody else knows how to balance audio. And there are some extra steps, but
yeah, I know. Like I was talking to Farzad, and he runs his audio through OBS first, and I don't know how to do that yet. So like on mine, it hasn't been bad. Like as long as I crank the volume up and I actually run the audio through my laptop versus my microphone, it works out fine.
Yeah, I reached out to Farzad about interviewing him some time back, and he agreed. And then I was unable to lock him down. He just kept.
Oh, there we go.
Yours is loading. I was unable to actually get him to commit, and then yep, I got mine up too.
16.8% operating margins. That is outstanding. Let me see.
Is
Gap.
it? You know what? I'm gonna let yours be.
Sorry, I'm like reading this, but I should be reading it out loud. It's $13.7 billion gap operating income. Yeah, 3.9 billion in Q4, 12.6 billion gap net income, 3.7 billion in Q4. Operating cash flow of 14.7 billion, free cash flow of 7.6 billion in 2022. Jesus. Operating cash flow of 3.3 billion, free cash flow of 1.4 billion in Q4, which is down because what was it in Q3? Was that 3.3 billion? Yeah.
I don't recall.
And they increased their cash holdings up to 22.2 billion. So that is fantastic. Another record-breaking quarter. We achieved the highest ever quarterly revenue, operating income, and net income in our history. In 2022, total revenue grew 51% year over year. And see, these are the things that we're paying attention to. Deliveries may not have hit 50%, but their total revenue grew 51% year over year. That's huge.
The revenue grew 51%.
Yeah. As we progress into 2023, we know that there are questions about the near-term impact of uncertain macroeconomic environment, and in particular with rising interest rates. Tesla team is used to challenges given the culture required to get the company where it is today. You know, Elon's been through this many times, so they've got the experience. That's why they're prepared as well as they are. On the near term, we are accelerating our cost reduction roadmap and driving towards higher production rates. Okay, so they're focusing on production while reducing cost, while staying focused on executing against the next phase of our roadmap. Let's see if they go over the roadmap or if we're waiting till March 1st for that. Average selling prices have generally been on the downward trajectory for many years. Improving affordability is necessary to become a multi-million vehicle producer. They've said this before, so you have to remember that the last 2 years with all the prices going up, that was just strictly because of inflated costs for all of the materials. So they had been coming down on prices.
Well, there's also the fact that the wait times have just gotten ridiculous. It's no longer helpful once your wait time gets beyond 6 months.
Oh yeah.
So there's, I can, and you'll notice that the long range and also models in Belgium the prices have already gone back up.
Right. So, I mean, we're seeing that, and it's really just going to be a game of balancing back to where they were before, balancing with margins. So, let me see. While average selling prices have between 2017 and 2022, our operating margin consistently improved from approximately negative 14% to positive 17% in the same period. See, this is what I tell people all the time is it's the bottom line that makes the difference. It's the operating margins that we have to pay attention to. So even if vehicle margins go down, if operating margins are going up, that's what makes the difference. Margin expansion was achieved through introduction of lower cost models, build out of localized, more efficient factories, vehicle cost reduction, and operating leverage. Scenario, we are prepared for short-term uncertainty while being focused on the long-term potential of the autonomy, electrification, and energy solutions. Our relentless cost control and cost innovation is why we believe that no other OEM is better equipped to navigate through 2023 and ultimately succeed in the long run than we are. Fantastic.
So let's take a look at this one you just got to here. Automotive revenue is up. And not only is it up, it's a record. It's It's beautiful. Of which regulatory credits. Now, remind me, how long have we been hearing that regulatory credits are done? They're gone. You will never see any more of them.
No kidding.
If you had asked me to come up with quarterly financials, I would not have put 467 million in that line. Would you?
No.
That's crazy.
No, I mean, after the 286, I figured we were coming down. I figured we would have seen maybe somewhere between 250 and 300.
Yeah. Yeah.
Automotive
Automotive
gross
gross margin,
automotive
25.9.
Yep. So auto gross margins, and I was guessing 26. I was going with 29%. It was 26% I'm going with for Q1. So this here to me is a good indicator. So if the automotive gross margins were at 25.9% with the cuts that they did recently, or that 24% that I'm predicting for Q1 might actually be closer to a 20 or 21%.
And remember, starting this quarter, you've got the manufacturer's credit for battery cells and packs.
Yeah.
Which should be about 3,700, should be about what, 8-9% per car.
Right.
So that's.
And now how are they going to record that? Because that's not going to go into regulatory credits. I don't think it would. That's different. So I don't know where they're going to put that on the line.
I think it would just be an automotive revenue, wouldn't it?
Oh, would it just go right to revenues? Oh, maybe it would. We'll find out. We'll know in Q1.
We'll know. So then we've got total revenues.
Those are up, record
Beautiful,
right there.
Beautiful.
Gross profit. It looks like a record right there as well.
Interesting. The total revenue, that is right in line with expectations, I believe. As I understand, 24 billion was right in line.
I got to remember, man, I just did my video on it. I don't even have the numbers in front of me.
Total gross profit, 5.7 billion.
Yeah.
Smacking grooves. GAAP gross margin, 23.8. Wow.
Yep. And that's down. So obviously, the auto gross margins coming down brought that down too, but still 23.8%.
Magical. Well, and we're now into a point where the competitors can no longer reasonably blame COVID for everything.
Right.
That's ridiculous. What have we got? OpEx, fine. Operating income, fine.
And they've been calling the same OpEx number constantly, so that hasn't changed.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep. Operating margins coming in at 16% is awesome.
Yeah. Nice. Those look both fine. Yeah.
Yep. And then we've got our EPS here. So non-GAAP is $1.19. So if
now I know $1.11 is a number I saw, but I don't remember if that was
the rough estimates were around 113 to 114, and the whisper number was 104. And actually, I should be paying attention. I don't have the stock ticker in front of me to see how it's performing right now.
Oh yeah, someone can tell me in the chat, or you in the chat. We'll find out here in a second.
We are flat.
Hey man, that's really good.
I mean,
normally
it's flipping around like crazy, but it's flat. So
normally, no matter how good the earnings are, it's still flat. Let's see.
So we've got free cash flow is the 1.4 billion. And now I wonder if the free cash flow is 1.4 billion because they took a chunk of that and put it into Giga Nevada, or if that was just because of the fact that the margins were down, which is totally possible. Also, that would make sense.
So Giga Nevada would, I believe, show up under CapEx, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're right. That would show up under there. So you're right.
And also, I think there's a number of these expenses that don't fully show up until the asset begins production. So I'm not sure on that. Somebody in the chat might be able to tell us.
Oh yeah. And then Jack, I know you're asking here. So the EPS was, I believe it was like, there were so many different numbers, but around, I think actually Tesla came out with $1.10. So this definitely beat their estimates. Other estimates I saw were $1.14. So this is definitely a beat on the EPS line.
Yeah. Let's see.
What else we got? All right.
So in the chat, someone pointed out 2,462 megawatt hours of storage deployed in Q4, which is 15% more than last quarter.
Yes, and that's what I want to get into also, because now we're going to jump into the year-over-year numbers I mean, look at last year. They did $47 billion. This year, $71 billion.
Ah.
Like,
That's 50%, baby.
yeah. I mean, and I had their automotive gross margins at 29%. They came in at 28.5, so that's pretty darn close.
Well, that's why they call you the Oracle. And by they, I mean you, really.
Yes, I am self-proclaimed. Every once in a while, I hit it on the bullseye. Let's see here. Operating margins, there you go. Year over year, they went from, look at this. I mean, 12%, 16%. So now this year's obviously going to be a challenge. You know, are they going to continue this? If they're going to continue cost-cutting measures, Project Highland coming out, you know, this could potentially be looking at, like, even if we hit this same number after this year, knowing what we're about to go through, that's outstanding.
Yeah.
And then there we go. Non-GAAP 407. I had 404. So pretty darn close on that one.
That's really good. Let's see. Yeah, go ahead.
$7.5 billion free cash flow.
Oh, $7.5 billion.
And that's that. And so what I want to remind you guys of too is when we talk about the buybacks, Tesla is now currently spending money as fast as they possibly can without just pissing it away and throwing it away at things that, you know, they can't actually focus on properly and invest in properly. So, you know, when they're doing a gigafactory, you know, they're focusing on that. They don't want to open up 4 and 5 gigafactories at once because then they don't have the same culture growth in all of them. So they have to be wise with that. So that's why we see, you know, their cash growing to $22 billion, free cash flow coming in. So when it comes down to that buyback, it's, hey, we have all of this money coming in. We've spent it as wisely as we can in the areas we can and still have extra. So what's the best thing we can do with that money? And buyback is one of those things.
Oh, NFTs, I meant. No, so here's the fun thing. That was 7.6 billion.
Yeah.
Now that to put that in perspective, the entire cost of the new semi-factory and expansion to the 4680 area is 3.6 billion.
Less than half.
They could pay for it in, what is that, 6 weeks?
Six
weeks
months
of free cash flows.
Yeah, 6 months of free cash flow. That's not 6 months of revenue. That's not 6 months.
That's a quarterly number. 7.5 was the quarterly free cash flow.
No, that's annual. That's for all of 2022.
Thank you. Okay. Well, I got excited, Tim. I'm sorry.
But either way, Brian, that is still
ridiculous.
6 months. That's a half a year. So that's literally with their free cash flow alone, they can put up 2 gigafactories a year.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've still got my viewers, but my chat has ground to a halt, leading me to believe the big dogs have got the main attention and the eyeballs.
That's okay. We have our followers and we love all of you guys.
The better viewers, the people who actually care. Foreign exchange impact of 1.4 billion.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah,
it was a difference in the free cash flow, according to viewer Fail Trains.
Yes.
Or Fail Train South. I mean, the S is capitalized.
Let's see. Operating income. I'm trying to see if there's any little nuggets in here that and if you guys happen to see anything, definitely let us know in the chat, because we're trying to breeze through this and share the information with you guys as best as we can. So if we miss something, please feel free to point it out. Lower stock-based compensation and payroll tax expense related to CEO awards. We knew that. FSD revenue recognition of 324 million in automotive sales. Okay, so they recognized 324 million. I know Omar was talking about 1 billion.
But he didn't know. Yeah.
Right. So, but at the same time, there's still a lot of that out there. So it's not that they don't have the money. They just didn't recognize it this quarter.
Did you see that conversation on Twitter? Because if you did, it was referring to the Twitter space.
Yes.
And did you hear the Twitter space or just hear about it?
I did not hear the Twitter space.
I was in the Twitter space, and Gordon asked repeatedly, is that $1 billion a quarter or $1 billion a year? But he wouldn't let Omar answer. And so he said, it's $1 billion a quarter. And that's ridiculous. And Omar's like, I never said that. I never said that. I said, it's going to be
Gordon came out and just kept talking, wouldn't let somebody speak. That's not like Gordon.
That's so weird, right? And then on Twitter, Gojo goes ahead and blasts Omar and blocks him. So Omar can't respond. And it's like, you know what? Omar is sometimes he controls, sometimes he's a bit of a goof and a clown,
Yeah.
but he's not a raging lunatic.
Yes.
So
No.
I don't know, man. We talked about Gojo plenty. I'd love to know who's funding him. I'd love to
Oh,
know,
no.
but we'll never find out, I believe.
Nope. All right, let's see. Total end of quarter operating lease vehicle count. Solar deployed. Okay, this is a good one. Storage deployed. Yep, growing there nicely, up 152%. That's it. Only up 152%.
What
Let's
is
see.
Sorry.
The storage deployed. So yes, folks,
That's unfortunate. Just a huge growth number. And is that millions? Are we talking 2.5 billion or is that megawatts? Oh, megawatt hours.
Megawatt hours,
Right.
yeah.
That's what we were talking about before. 2 gigawatt hours, 2.5 gigawatt hours of storage.
Yep.
Mm-mm.
Let me see. Storage and service locations, mobile fleet.
And you know what? We're going to look at that next year and be like, that was cool. Just like looking back now at 978, we're like, aw, remember how excited we were?
Exactly.
The growth in store and service locations is decent. Mobile fleet service, I feel like that it's tough to grow only 19 and 24% on those two numbers when the fleet is growing so fast.
Oh, I know.
But
and then supercharger stations growing very nicely, up 35% year over year.
Yeah.
So again, that's the big one because, you know, that's the complaint that a lot of people are having is not being able to charge places. And then if you have to use an older charger. So I know that's a huge thing on the radar for Tesla.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So let's look at full year over year numbers here.
Since we have such small but awesome audiences, I think we should take a minute and say, I'm going to say hello to Jamie and MD Hofsty, of course, Fail Trains, Chris, Gary, and Pat. Welcome. Yeah. And Chris, I haven't seen you in a couple of these, so it's kind of nice to see you again. Jamie, I know you've been busy, so it's good to see you again. And yeah, awesome all around. Tim's probably got a person.
Oh yeah,
to say
I've got Danny on here. What's going on, Danny? Sorry, my head is facing down. I'm reading off of my iPad for this dual screen. Richard, what's going on, my friend? Let me see, Oscar. In plain English, good numbers or bad numbers overall? They are numbers. I wouldn't say that they're great, bad, indifferent. They're
around expectation.
Yeah, they're
and expectation was high.
Yeah.
So it will be spun as a negative because everything always is all the time.
Yep. And let me see, where are we at with the stock at the moment? We are up 0.5%. So, I mean, coming in line, honestly, like it's so weird after last year where unless you smash numbers and even then you're like, yay, and it's gone. So it's kind of nice, to sit flat. It's kind of unnerving, but maybe they're waiting for the call.
Well, so what do we got here?
All right. So
Shanghai greater than 750. Come on now. Come on now. So first of all, when an optimistic statement is made and missed, people are hasty to call Elon and Tesla liars. But then we see Shanghai capacities greater than 750,000. And that is a lie. It's like 1.1, 1.2 million.
Yeah.
And nobody's looking at the sandbagging and complaining.
Oh, I know.
Because we wouldn't. We know the real number. And the critics wouldn't because it does not fit their narrative.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't just. And so Berlin capacity 250, Texas 250. I
like Cybertruck is tooling, so that's good.
250. So one of the questions that came in earlier was it was on Say was how soon until we hit 5,000 a week in production from Texas and Berlin. And my answer was we might already be there. If not, we're within a stone's throw. So.
I don't know, because they just hit 3,000 at the end of December. That would have been a massive jump.
Was it the end? I thought it was the middle.
No, it was the end of December, so it was like right around Christmas time. So hitting 5,000 that quickly.
Berlin added a shift at the end of December.
Yeah, so Karav, who I don't know if he's on here right now, he had let me know that
I haven't seen him yet.
I guess Austin has actually already been running a third shift, which is why they were able to catch up to Berlin so quickly. When they started it, I do not know.
At any rate, 250 is ridiculously low. The capacity of those factories is easily 700, but probably closer to 1 million, like Shanghai.
Right. And
And
they
yeah,
just haven't fully outfitted it with people yet to make that happen.
right. Well, and the supply chain, you've got to get each piece up and running.
Yeah.
And as the 4680s get more and more into production, as that continues to ramp, the 2170s that are being used to make the Model Y can be dedicated to making something else.
Yep.
And yeah, there'll be the beauty of having a company that is chemistry agnostic, form factor agnostic, means if you have a battery that has capability, we can put it in a car and sell it. Or some product. Even the Powerwalls and Megapacks are now going to be using more lithium iron phosphate,
Yep.
which allows for higher cycle life. Well, it's lower energy density. Yeah, but we don't drive Megapacks. Well, I don't drive. I'm waiting for the day somebody decides to set
Put a
a
mega
land record for longest distance on a single charge with a semi hauling a Megapack.
They drove across the land bridge, Russia, all the way across to Europe.
What is the capacity of one Megapack? Somebody in the chat. So,
Let's see here. So Cybertruck is in tooling. We knew that, which is awesome. So maybe we can get some more specifics on that today. I have no doubt they're going to just reiterate that they plan on production for summertime. So,
well, for a Cybertruck,
yeah.
So we've been watching the drone footage. The 9,000 ton press is there. All the tooling is going in. It's on schedule for all we can see. The next thing to be on the lookout for is actual production models rolling out, which will be used in road testing and validation and crash testing.
So
Now,
I heard down there, and I don't know if it was Joe who had mentioned it, that you can't even see anymore. They blocked the windows, so you can't see the progress on what they've been doing.
It's better. They blocked certain windows. They didn't block. If they blocked all the windows, it wouldn't mean anything.
Right.
They blocked strategic windows.
Yes.
So
we've got stuff going on that we don't want you to know about yet.
But we don't want to be sneaky to a degree that leads you to believe nothing's going on.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
well done, Tesla.
Oh, it's beautiful. And when they go out for validation, you can absolutely sneak a truck out to do crash testing with no one knowing. Just like how they got the Cybertruck out to the desert to make the promo footage for the reveal. They just hid it in a trailer, took it out to the middle of nowhere, away you go. And if anyone had stumbled across that, they would have thought you were shooting a movie. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's clearly a movie prop. This is not a car.
Oh, yeah.
But for road testing, these will be impossible to hide. There is no amount of camouflage wrap you can put on a Cybertruck that will make it look like anything else.
Unless one of the things that they have on it is a cloaking device, and then perhaps they can do it.
He said we should anticipate radical technology. Cloaking device is pretty radical, Tim. I think you're onto something, although this time it might be crack.
All right, let's. So now we're gonna see how. So here's what the media is talking about. So, Kiju Kim, did you see Forbes Tesla had the best quarterly earnings with a Tesla post best ever quarterly revenue and profit? That is true. And then CNBC, Tesla auto gross margin missed expectations, 6.2% versus actual 24.25. Stock is trading flat. So, and that's it. So we're right around expectations, and depending on how you're going to be spinning it, is why we are seeing a flat stock movement at the moment. And then PE is now 35.48. That's laughable.
So Gary says that he looked up the Megapack on google.com and 3.9 megawatt hours. So that would be roughly 4 extra charges. So you could get about 2,500 miles on that charge. That's cool, man.
That's awesome.
That's cross country.
It's literally cross country.
Yeah. And just like any good rocket, you're 90% fuel at takeoff.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's see this. So the semis, they still have it listed as pilot production. We know that they are working further on that. So I don't know when they're, I'm assuming tonight they may announce, unless he had talked about it yesterday and I missed it, when they're looking at the expansion of Giga Nevada to actually be done and ready for production.
So fun. The construction for the expansion of the 4680 section of Giga Nevada began months ago. It began months ago.
Okay.
This is just the announcement.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. And so a lot of the delays that you would well, it takes 2 years for even Tesla with their Tesla quick production to get this sort of thing going. Does it? Because this is an established location. This is an expansion more than a new factory. And I know they kept saying new factory, and it is. It's a factory within a factory, but it's going to move a lot quicker. It's they don't have to put in roads to get to it for one thing.
Yeah.
They don't. All the drainage is more or less there, and a lot of it's already been started. And
Okay.
I did see a comment saying that why didn't they start building the semi thing, facility sooner if they knew they were going to be entering production now? And the answer is don't build it until you know how to build it exactly. Otherwise, you're going to be rebuilding and rebuilding, which is what we've been seeing in other factories.
Right. And that's it. And that's why Tesla said, and that's why they don't want to move too fast either, because, they put up Austin and Berlin, and those were the next generation factories. But they also know that they can improve off of those as well for the next ones. So now they wait 2 years, see, hey, what can we do better for the next two? Cool. Now let's plan out the next two with the next footprint that's going to be even better than those two.
Right. Because in Texas, we've seen them move internal, columns, load-bearing columns that had to be moved. That's surgery. That you don't want to do that if you can avoid it. It takes extra time and it takes extra money. And you may end up with a compromise even still versus just doing it right the first time. And you say, well, just overbuild it then. Make it bigger than you need it and just use only the space you need. Great, but that increases the distance between part A and B, and we've got to shorten the path between the front door and the back door to get the goods in and the merch out.
Yep. And it's just like if you're watching any sort of racing, like downhill skiing, motorcycle racing, anything like that on a track, it's that little fraction and how you make that turn better that is going to help you beat the next guy. So when you're playing at that level, that little bit of a distance is going to make a significant difference in the long run when it comes to production. So that definitely plays into it.
I've seen videos on how they use high-speed cameras to film Olympic athletes to help them refine their butterfly or just running, anything they do, because yes, that much is the difference between gold and no medal at all.
Yep.
So I did have a comment that Idra, the company that makes the GigaPress, might have intellectual property that they don't want filmed. So it's not just Idra. It's also in the southwest corner where the Cybertruck's actually being made, where it is getting harder to see sometimes. But but Idra had that open house where they let people in to show them everything and let them film. Yes. And then they yelled at Sandy because he showed too much. It's like, you brought Sandy in with a camera.
If Sandy could get into the machine and check it out, he would.
You gave him a tour on camera. What do you think it was for? His scrapbook?
Oh, good golly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. FSD. We have now released FSD beta to nearly all customers in the US and Canada who bought FSD, approximately 400,000. That's awesome.
Well, that also gives us a hint of the some take rate in North America.
I'm actually curious if they're going to announce when they're going to go wide release to other countries and what countries would be getting it next.
It's regulatory. It's all down to regulations. Although there are some countries where I would think as a manufacturer, I'd be terrified to turn it on. Countries where the roads are very aggressive.
Yeah.
Drivers are less predictable.
Let me see. We are particularly
miles
focused
driven
on
per accident. Nice. Nice, I guess. I mean, it is improving from 3 million to over 5.
Let's see. Powertrain manufacturer. We're particularly focused on vehicle costs during this period of macroeconomic uncertainty, high interest rates. That's what they were talking about before. And vehicle price deflation. Yeah, so that's going to be the big piece right there. Cost efficiencies while improving functionality and reliability. While cost-efficient manufacturing of EVs is still rare across most of the industry, it is critical for profitability at scale and will ultimately determine long-term success of OEMs. FYI, OEMs, get your crap together or you're going to be toast.
Fail Trains pointed out 2023 is going to be absolutely bonkers when the IRA kicks in. So the IRA has kicked in. It's just that there's so much ambiguity around it that manufacturers and buyers alike are not entirely clear on what's going on.
Right. Oh, and don't forget, and as he's pointing out too, is, this is Q4 earnings. So we're not going to see the effect of that into Q1 earnings.
I appreciate Fail Trains. He's got you back. Another thing I pointed out on my video earlier today about the Giga Nevada expansion is there's a $40,000 EV rebate for semi-trucks.
Yep.
And at the battery pack is something like 914 kilowatts. So we'll just say a gigawatt. That would be another $37,000 in manufacturer rebate. So there's $77,000 in money per Tesla semi on the table. That's attractive.
Yep. And if Tesla plans on selling 50,000 of them in 2024, my golly.
Chris has a very good question. Do the accidents per mile include the hashtag Honda bumps? I take it you also are familiar with.
Yes.
Tesla cam. Who isn't? I don't catch all of them, but I don't need to because it's basically the same footage over and over.
Yeah.
It's a couple of silly ones and a bunch of Honda bumps.
Now here's what we want to see. Energy storage. So energy storage deployments. So for you guys who like graphs, what does this look like to you? Does this look like the start of an exponential curve?
No. I asked my friend Gordon, and he said that looks like a busted growth story.
I mean, that's what the red stick is here. That's the busted stick.
If that red, what does it mean in a balance sheet? Red means negative. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this is again, folks, just and then supercharging locations. Again, these look like they're starting to hit that exponential growth curve as well.
So I have a question. Fail Trains wants to know, am I reading it right, or did they have the highest operating margin ever in Q4? Look at the chart on 24.
Let me see. Operating margin.
He said there's a chart on 24.
Oh. Are there page numbers in here? Hey, 7.
That's 7, yeah.
Oh, wow. We're going really slow. Sorry, folks. We're going really slow.
You know what? Let's keep moving then.
Yes. So, all right. So volume. All right. So here's what I wanted to see. So we are planning a growing production as quickly as possible in alignment with the 50% CAGR target we began guiding in early 2021. So they're holding with the 50%. And some years we may grow faster, some we may grow slower. Clearly last year was a slower due to a lot of headwinds, depending on a number of factors. For 2023, we expect to remain ahead of the long-term 50% CAGR with around 1.0. Wow, that's the first time they've ever given a specific number. 1.8 million cars is their growth target for this year for production. Okay. That's the first time I've ever seen them do that.
Yeah, say an actual number.
Yeah, it's always just been 50%. So, and my number for production this year, I'm going with, as I'm calling it, my worst case base case scenario is 1.865.
Yeah. Hitting 2 is very, very doable.
Yeah. So I think this is
the path forward on that, by the way. What is we've got 2 factories ramp. We're going to get a little more out of Fremont, a little more out of Shanghai, a whole lot more as Berlin and Texas ramp. And then we've got the Cybertruck, which will kick in towards the second half. But going into next year's ramp, that's when it is going to go a little bit bonkers.
Oh, yeah. And so thinking at it from a Tesla company standpoint, they want to get out as many vehicles as they possibly can this year. But they also know that they're going to have to sell them at a lower price due to the economy. So if they have already run the numbers on this and they said, hey, if we plan on selling our average sales price for vehicles this year of $47,000 and we're going to sell 1.8 million, that means that we're going to have enough money coming in for everything we need for the entire year with a strong buffer. So anything over that, they may not want to push too high because they're going to have to sell the vehicles for lower, knowing that in 2024, prices might go back up again. So that might be why they're doing this. Maybe it's a sandbag. Like you said, they're sandbagging the crap out of other numbers too. So 1.8 might be that sandbag number.
Yeah. Darn. Okay.
Let's see. We have sufficient liquidity to fund our product roadmap, long-term capacity, expansion plans, and other expenses. So basically, folks, they have said we have plenty of money to do everything we want to do. Do not worry about it. Furthermore, we will manage the business such that we maintain a strong balance sheet during this uncertain period. So they're going to have a strong balance sheet, and they're going to be able to do everything they want to do.
Yeah.
While we continue to execute on innovations to reduce cost of manufacturing of operations, over time, we expect our hardware-related profits to be accompanied with an acceleration of software-related profits, exactly like we were talking about before. We continue to believe that our operating margin will remain the highest among volume OEMs.
Nice. Nice. And a quick reminder for those who came in late, if you're watching on Tim's stream, definitely leave a thumbs up. And if you're watching on mine, I think the accepted one is to give it a thumbs down. I don't remember.
We've got to balance it. So
you got to balance.
If you give Brian a thumbs up, you have to give me a thumbs down. If you give me a thumbs up, him a thumbs down. Got to keep it even.
Just how it works, you guys. I don't want to have to explain it. By the way, on my screen, I've got my animation still running, showing the cars going across at a silly pace. We're at 3,500 seconds, 252 cars have driven across the screen. It's very fun. John points out that there's an additional rebate for EV big rigs in California and New York.
That's true. And I always forget that every state has their own as well. So some states actually give more rebates also.
And the difference on those is those are typically hard capped at a specific number. I think in New York, the number was locked in almost immediately. And in California, I think it was handed out on a lottery basis, but still it was outrageous.
Oh, yeah.
But that will help with adoption. Cybertruck.
Oh, Cybertruck remains on track to begin production later this year at Gigafactory, Texas. Our next generation vehicle platform is under development with additional details to be shared at Investor Day, March 1st. We knew about this. Very excited about that Gen 3 stuff. So here's some beautiful pictures that we've got.
Mm-hmm.
Da-da-da.
Oh, that's in the
Megapack final assembly.
That's nice. That's cool. Go back up and let me see that again real quick. Boy, that is just neat. And it's so modular. Interesting.
It's so clean and compact. Like that's the part that
I wonder if the next gen Megapack factory will have an assembly line or if that's crazy talk.
I would imagine they must.
Because think of how many you'd make on a line. The stamping machines, baby. They're so huge.
Yeah.
And then, of course,
when you look at the robots, the body shop.
Now, what you're looking at there still isn't a Megacast front end.
Yeah.
So, not sure. Must be the front of a 3. This new picture, what a beaut.
Oh, my God. I know. The semi, yep.
Yeah.
Cell production, which we know will have coming.
Here we go.
Vehicle
deliveries. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, vehicle deliveries growing. Operating cash flow growing. And looking at things on a quarterly basis is tougher. When you look at it on a yearly basis, it's much different.
Or a trailing 12-month is always nice.
Yeah. Vehicle deliveries, operating cash flow, net income. See, and here's the net income. And this is the one that's the most important. Net income is, this is the very bottom line. So here you go with that nice, strong growth going up. And then this is page 24. Here it is.
Operating margin. And
here we go. Tesla versus the auto industry and S&P 500. Look who's at the top. And we have been for the last, for the entire year. We took it over this year and that's it.
Yeah.
So, and don't forget, folks, the auto industry is a big one, which, you can see how they've basically flatlined for the last year and a half. But the S&P being able to, surpass the whole S&P that's ridiculous.
Well, the average of the S&P, not the whole.
Right. Yeah.
More than half of it.
And then year over year revenue growth, sure, Tesla's come down, but nobody's even close.
So, by the way, Richard asked, thumbs down for real? And the answer is yes, because the thumbs are mostly decorative, and it doesn't matter which one you click.
Yeah.
YouTube counts it as engagement. As long as you're watching, if you click one, it helps. So by all means, if people don't like it, by all means, give me the thumb. Or if you do, it's fine.
We moved you enough to give us a reaction one way or the other, and that was what the algorithm wanted.
And you commented, which the algorithm also appreciates. So thank you for that too. It's a crazy, terrible site, and it'd be great if it wasn't the way it is, but it do.
And then
Average
here we go
selling price and
Rob jumps in
oh,
here.
here's
Tesla
Rob.
did some weird calculation with auto gross margin relating to FSD revenue. So with the 324 million that they recognize for FSD revenue, I didn't even notice that. So great job pointing that out. I'll have to go back and dive into that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know that. Average selling price.
Yep. So here we go. So average selling price. Where's man? Give me a more specific number. Looks like 56,000 for 2022.
That's a percentage. Oh, I see. The percentage.
Yeah, overall, and that's right. I had them at 56,000, so that's right around the ballpark. And it's easy to do the average selling price when you know the first three quarters, because then the last quarter you just have to kind of be relatively close.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen people who love to say my whole year. There's a particular person who said my whole year I was within 10% of production, and I'm like, that is a huge miss. And and no, you weren't. You missed completely. You just kept revising it along the way. You don't get to change during the prediction and then count the whole time. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
And then this here's the big one that I like to see is, average selling price has, basically flatlined, but operating margins have gone up.
And we're going to see this number go down next quarter to probably their lowest average selling price ever, while the margins remain above 10%.
Right.
Wow. Because a lot of that margin, a lot of it is marginal cost. Yes, it costs, $40,000 to make one Model Y, but making one more Model Y doesn't cost another 40. It might only cost another 36 or 32. Who knows?
Yeah.
The machines are there and running. Just keep them going.
And then here we go. Here's the chart for this. This is good. So this is their goal. So the 50%, assuming the 50%, they're going to be coming in here. So they're looking to produce 1.8 million. And so they assume on selling 1.7 million of that. So
that's fun, because if we're talking based on 2020, what they're saying is we said 50% average. The fact that we overshot it doesn't reset and give us a higher 50% target. It's still 50 from 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's it. So yes, it has not reset. So it actually just makes that easier for them to hit later on if they're shorter now. All right. This is just more dialed in numbers. So looking at energy and energy storage, 1.3 billion. So I was looking at 1.5 billion for energy and energy storage. So that's not bad. 1.3, I'll take it.
Services and other.
I always wonder what goes into the other. Anytime somebody gives me an other, what is that? Let's see here. This is just more of just deep diving into their numbers.
I wonder if services, go back up a little. I wonder if services and other would include things sold at a service center like merch.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, because that's what they need is.
That's true. Other would be, I would imagine like anybody who buys anything through the merch store.
1.7 billion in merch. Yeah. It's all burnt hair, baby.
No, but that's through the Boring Company. Totally different.
Oh, right. But Tesla tequila. I just love that after the first run of it, they're like, look, it's not good tequila. We'll just sell you the bottle. Yeah, there's Karov. Tesla tequila revenue.
Oh, man. Yeah, you guys are so much fun.
Oh,
let's see.
We got to have fun. That's what we do differently than the big dogs. They're boring, my friend. Boring.
And then I don't know why the number here is different than up top, but $1.18 and $1.07 versus the $1.19 we saw up top. I don't know. A penny is not going to make that much of a difference, but
it is interesting.
Is there anything else that we wanted to dive into sometimes in the expenses? I want to see. Property, plant, equipment. I mean, all the expenses are relatively the same. Nothing really standing out.
I do have a comment saying after hour stock price is going up.
Let me see.
Another one. I think there's stationary storage because much more profitable than it previously was. I think stationary is more profitable. There was a time when stationary was barely making any money.
Yeah.
And all of this before the sell and pack incentives of 2023. Q1 2023 is going to blow our gosh darn minds.
Mm-hmm. Net incomes.
Yeah.
CapEx expenditures. Yeah. And so their CapEx, and as they said before, and when costs went up, they bumped it up, but I think it was 5.7 billion. Then they bumped it up to 6.8 billion, and they're holding with it. I mean, their expenses are extremely controlled, and they do a very good job of it.
Mm-hmm. So something on page 30, MD Hofsey said page 30 shows a huge number. Which number is that? The net cash flow?
Net cash used in investing
activities.
Oh yeah, there's a good jump there.
Is that a jump? No, that's a fall. Is that
that's
a Bitcoin impairment?
It's an expense. So I wonder if that expense was for, so looking at it here. So here's the big jump here. So
MD Hofsey is saying maybe it's purchases
of investments. So I don't know if they would consider Giga Nevada an investment.
They didn't purchase it. Oh, purchase of investments. Is it property?
I wonder if we'll have to get the 10. Is it the 10Q that comes out tomorrow? Yeah, so we can see. That is a good call on that one. Finding that out.
Catch. Again, if you're going to be investing that kind of coin, you need to get in touch with me because I've got all these terrible NFTs that I've been trying to offload. I gave them to my kids for Christmas, and they were like, "Wow, worst parent ever." They were correct.
Thanks for nothing, Dad.
Could you imagine giving your kids a homemade NFT for Christmas?
It's like giving your kid an IOU.
Worse, just worse. It's an IOU that's already stamped paid.
Yeah.
And it's a digital copy of it.
Here's an expired gift card. Good luck. Yeah, that's a good call on that one. I do not know what those investments are. I would be very interested to find that information out. Let me see. Yep, and here's the $1.19 again popping up down here. So I mean, EPS isn't bad, right where they should be. They got the nice solid growth. And I think right now a lot of people are probably waiting for the call.
Is that that's for the whole year?
No, that's the quarter.
No, that's for the quarter.
Yeah, the whole year is $4.07 for the year.
Interesting. Oh man. Because take how many shares you have and multiply it by that. If it was paying a dividend, that's what your dividend would have been.
Yep, and actually, where are the outstanding shares? Why am I missing
27 billion? I don't know.
It's 3.1 billion. Or it was somewhere around there.
It's umpteen is a big number.
It's got to be
in the teens.
Interest, stock-based depreciation, millions. I must have missed it up top. I'll have to go back up and see what they have for outstanding shares. I don't know why I'm missing it here. Usually it's down here too.
MD Hofsey is saying they might be T-bonds.
Okay.
Because they're short, you can pick your term. Rates have gone up enough that it's not worthless.
Actually, you know what? I wonder, and I don't know how they would report it in here, but if that's something that they are investing into to be able to utilize for a buyback, perhaps that is it. I don't know enough about how it works on that end, but that might be something that they did to be able to put it into bonds to use that for a buyback.
I don't know why they would need to do that.
I don't either. Again, I don't know enough about it. The other thought I had was unless they specifically did that because they know going into a potential recession, maybe they wanted to invest their cash into something. They wanted to invest their cash into something that might actually, net them some sort of income over the year.
Yeah. Faux show. So we are at almost 4,300 seconds, and 311 Teslas have driven by the screen nice and slow. It's a lot of fun.
I'm just going to look forward this, and then we're going to jump off and give a 20-minute break. And then I do have another, there's another live stream link that I will throw out onto Twitter momentarily, and you guys will see it on YouTube also.
And I'm thinking I am not going to be streaming the second one on my channel. So if you want me to pop in for a post chat check-in, maybe I can do that, but I will not be covering it live. I think there's going to be quite enough coverage, including amazing channels like Oracle Investments.
Yeah, and I'll throw you a link for this one too, Brian, if you want to hop on here and just be on. So, all right, guys, we're gonna jump off for the moment. Grab some food, get yourselves regrouped, and I'll throw that link out there in a minute for you.
Later, everybody.